What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 971 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday. I am currently experiencing a sensory nightmare because I have a bouquet of flowers that was sent to me as a housewarming gift in my living room, and it smells awful. I cannot tell why. I think I dislike the smell of lilies. I think that might be where it comes from, but there is no describing what I'm smelling right now.
Is it a bouquet of like multiple flowers?
It has multiple different types, but I feel like the lilies are to blame. They're the weird ones that kill cats.
Okay.
I think that's why it's offending my sensibilities. But yeah, anyways, I'm also sipping on cappuccino right now, which feels very cozy and wintry. And this is our final episode before taking off for Christmas.
Yes, indeed.
So I hope everyone is getting into the festive spirit as well. We are going to be talking about that somewhat today.
Yeah, so people have some questions about the poll that we put up, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go back
before
here.
You get to that, actually, we have a 20 super chat from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Friday, Brett and Mary. I made a PCC Christmas card for both of you and the Crisis Actors. I hope you enjoy it. I might taste test Mary's Starbucks order next week, as I'm want for content as I work on episode 1000. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a mouthful, my Starbucks order, but I believe that you will agree with me that it is the pinnacle of Starbucks orders. It just took me a minute to get over feeling embarrassed when I rattled it off, but then I started ordering it on the app instead, so I don't have to look anybody in the eye and tell them what I'm ordering.
If anybody's wondering what the poll is, I put up the question in the poll, ladies and gentlemen. It says, should parents tell their kids about Santa? So the question is,
they should,
and we tried to be vague. We tried to be vague with our language today, just in case any kids might be watching the show.
Yes,
right?
That was actually my idea.
It's a good call.
We were doing the thumbnail and the title, and I was like, well, we have to keep it, somewhat vague, so that, if a kid is unsupervised and scrolling YouTube, they don't come across a pop culture crisis video that completely shatters their world.
That would be awful.
So, you're welcome, parents.
Also, it is like the windiest day in human history, apparently, behind me. So, well, as the other day at Mary's place, you could hear the cars going by. Here now, you can hear a ghoul or a ghost or something that's in the chimney behind me. So just
nothing will ever be as bad as the birds. Oh my gosh, that was the worst sound issue we have ever and will ever experience.
The bat
was the birds, and that was it bats actually?
It
turned out to be bats,
or
a
something
family
else.
Of bats
or something else
in the chimney. Yeah, I think it was a family of bats, and like we literally had to wait for them to die.
Yeah,
which was kind of sad.
Yeah,
nothing will be worse than that.
At least this time,
any day.
No wasps this time of year in the studio.
Oh my gosh, that too. We've had our fair share of trials and tribulations over the years, actually.
Yep.
Now that I think about it.
So guys, answer the poll question we put up there. We ask of you is is it important to tell your kids the truth about Santa Claus, or do you do the right thing? And
well, okay, just to clarify what I thought the poll meant, is Santa part of your kid's Christmas? That's all I meant.
See, it was too vague in how we worded it. In trying to be vague. I put with the poll right now. Let me pull it up here.
If you're pro Santa, you will say yes to the poll. If you are anti Santa, you will say no to the poll. That's how I intended it.
So it says, should parents tell their kids the truth about Santa? I'm assuming that means that they're saying tell their kids about Santa, that they're going to tell them whether he's real or not. So I thought that 70% were saying yes, but I think they interpreted it your way.
Yes, it was my way. So yes means that you are pro Santa, just to be clear.
Okay, let's hope that's right.
More accurate results.
That is the right answer anyways, but we'll get into that.
Yes,
that is one of the things that we're going to talk about today, guys. But before we get started on all of that, would you all please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. The channel has actually been growing very, very well. We've just passed 385,000 subscribers. Given how stop and start things have been lately. It's been a little rocky here with everything going on. Seeing the channel grow is a great thing. So I want to thank all of you so much for that. And if you're new here, if this is your first time tuning in, well, thank you for watching, and we hope that you stick around. What are we getting into today? There's a lot to talk about. And maybe it's Santa. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Santa's in the chimney behind me, and he's trying to get in.
Guys, Santa is making a cameo on PCC.
He's trapped.
This is a historic moment in the show.
Keep it down back there. Okay, I told him
he can't fit in the chimney. That's why he's making.
I told him to keep it down while I do the intro here. So guys, Angel Studios is in the news. I actually did a video the other day on the backlash that Angel Studios was getting because of their trailer for Animal Farm, the new movie from Andy Serkis. But today we're going to talk about the possibility, and this is just this is the rumor that's going around, that Disney and Paramount are attempting to sabotage their new movie David, which is out in theaters. So we are going to get into that today. We are also going to talk about the Looksmaxxing scale. PSL is what I read. And if you are a Looksmaxxer, you can now go to this very, very detailed and specific scale on how to rate people based on their appearance. And there's actually some videos that are going to make you want to just end it all because it's so depressing to see what people have come down to in life. So we're going to talk about that. Also, there was this article in the New York Post that is demoralization propaganda. It is called Generation I Do Not, and it's a bunch of strong, independent women that don't need no man, but have men anyways, because the men are embarrassing. And they don't want to get married, and the men are like, you know what? I do, but this is fine. This is fine. So
that was kind of the most infuriating part of it, is the men that they were with in the photo shoots just looking like the wimps that they are.
Dejected, pathetic men. So we are going to get into that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, Mary, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
She's ready for it. Let's go then.
Well, let's just start off with the controversy. We're going to start off with a really spicy Christmas debate. Obviously, there are mixed opinions from parents and non-parents alike about whether Santa should be a part of their family Christmas traditions. I think almost everybody watching this, including ourselves, grew up with Santa. Like, it was not this controversial thing that people were so divided about up until very recently, from what I can tell, mainly from millennials who feel that telling your kids about Santa or including Santa in Christmas is unethical or perhaps even traumatizing to children. There's also a camp of Christians who believe that teaching your kids about Santa is replacing Jesus and distracting from the birth of Jesus, which of course is the reason for the season.
I have that tweet.
I just don't think that they're mutually exclusive.
I have that tweet you were talking about.
Yes, from Braylon Hollyhand. Hollyhand. Threw his hat in the ring and copied this, grandma Facebook post that he saw that said, if you take your kids to I'll do my best Breland accent, actually. If you take your kids to the mall to visit Santa, maybe you should think about taking your kids to church to meet Jesus. And
maybe they did. How do you know?
Almost every Christian replied to this saying, why can't I do both? Because there is no legitimate reason that you can't do both.
This is like Christian Reddit. It's like,
I know
it's Christian
the
Redditism.
Christian version of arguing about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
So annoying. Like, I just said to this, could this guy be any more annoying? Because every single take of his is like this.
You know what? And, it's a good spot for some people to be in, because it's the type of, in fact, this is where I would thrive, because it's the type of thing you can have an opinion on that really doesn't have like a negative connotation for yourself. Like, people might disagree with you, but it's like the safest thing that you can be like highly opinionated on. Just like, for instance, your friend who's really into discussing whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not.
And her hot dogs
Macaulay Culkin said that it's not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, well, I guess he's the authority on it, so we all have to acquiesce to Macaulay Culkin. But here were some similar takes. One said, I'm sorry, but telling kids that Santa is real is a lie, actually, and I do think it's wrong, and I do think you shouldn't lie to your kids. And you can't actually say it's not, because it is, and your excuses are just excuses, and I still love Christmas and always have. You're annoying. So, you are annoying.
Like, this is there's not even intellectual critique of this. It's just annoying.
And actually, I can think of plenty of valid reasons to lie to your kids, actually.
Yep.
And I don't even think that Santa is a lie.
So this is going to be my boomer response for the day. There's a great episode of the show Bones because her character is so robotic. The psychiatrist that they see is trying to help her understand why it's important for your kids to believe in Santa. And she just doesn't get it. And basically he has to convince her. He's like, it's not a lie. It's a gift. You're giving them the gift of wonder in a world that will increasingly be less wondrous each and every year. And she's just like, yeah, I don't get it.
I'm going to say
it's important.
I might be an outlier for this, but as a kid, I always knew, and it didn't matter, and I didn't take it that seriously. I just thought that it was a story. That's all I thought it was.
That's
and
what
kids
some of
love
these
stories.
responses say, are saying they're like, well, we tell our kids that Santa was a mythical figure, not a real person.
No, but my parents were very dedicated to the narrative that Santa was real. Like, they did want me to believe that it was real, not a story.
Well, your parents were good people.
But I still had the intuition to know that it was a story, and I appreciated it for what it was, for the most part. And my older brother, on the other hand, is very anti-Santa. Like, he's one of the people who thinks that you should not tell your kids about Santa, and he says that he, like, it really just rocked his world when he found out that Santa wasn't real, and he doesn't want to have his kids go through that. So he's on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm pro Santa. I don't agree with these people that it's in any way anti-Christian. And like, I think Walsh had a take on this, which was basically what I'm saying. That it's a fairy tale. And like, if his daughter is like playing in the backyard and says that she saw a fairy outside, he's not going to go up to his daughter and say like, no, you're a liar. Fairies aren't real. Like, that's just destroying childlike whimsy that you should actually reconnect with as a parent. It's something that, you know, gets stripped away from us, but then you get to re-experience it all over again when you have children.
I saw this one. Did you see this one? It says, leaving milk and cookies out for Santa is literally making an offer to a deity. I can't.
Insane.
I can't. But this is what I'm talking. So yesterday we did a topic about how one of the other words of the year was rage bait. That's what this is. These things are designed to make you angry, right? Just like people saying, there's something wrong with you. You're sick if you find Sydney Sweeney attractive, which is just designed. The post was designed to make people mad. Or calling Lara Croft from the Tomb Raider an LGBTQ icon. It's just designed to garner traffic.
Another one said, if you tell your kids there's a Santa, you're lying to them, and they're going to later find out that you lied to them and realize that you may again lie to them in the future. I don't know why parents do this, although mine didn't, but it's a good indicator of bad parenting in my book.
Your tweet is proof that the bad parenting was to not lie to you, okay? Your stick up your own ass tweet that's full of self-importance is exactly the opposite argument.
But again, Santa isn't a lie. Like, honestly, I think that Santa is realer than they're willing to admit. Yeah. In a way.
See, so does that make all of the news stations complicit in this lie? I don't know if they did this where you're from, but where I was from in Minnesota, they would do Santa tracker on the news, and the newscast, like the weather forecaster would have like reports from NORAD. Santa is passing over this place. Santa is passing over that place, and all that did was make it more magical for the kids. Okay.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, they did that where I was from.
I do remember the website for Santa Tracker.
Yeah.
As a kid. Another one said, you can't do Santa without lying to your kids. You can watch the movies, visit the mall Santa, and decorate the house, and explain that he's a mythical character, not a real person. They'll have just as much fun. No crash out needed. But it's like, why are people so brain rotted about this specific topic? I feel like millennials just decided like we're gonna destroy everything that we got to enjoy about our childhoods.
I think it's a combination of things. I think one, it's the purveyance of like Reddit and missing link media in the 2000s. It's Reddit humor, it's BuzzFeed, It's the place where millennials went to get news that wasn't, the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, where you could have debates about topics that really have no actual importance whatsoever. At least that's how they started. And then they break down into this, which is like, so now you're supposed to tell me there isn't a war on Christmas? What is this if not the war on Christmas?
This is the war.
This is the war on Christmas.
And in case any of you missed it, you should go and watch that debate that I engaged in on Michael Knowles' channel about Halloween, because I think it's the same people who are anti-Halloween that are anti-Santa. And even if they are professing to be religious people, there is still this purveyance of atheism in our culture, even among religious people. And that turns into an atheism of all myth, all storytelling, all fairy tale. We're far too materialistic. I think that is really why people have this distaste for myth in our culture.
Why do you think that? So you think because people are atheistic that kind of, and materialistic, that leads into what where we're at now?
Yeah, and by materialism, I mean not consumerism or commercialism, but literally the philosophy of materialism, which is that the only real things are material.
I mean, yeah, that's
and there's
the corner
this kind of like, it's like if Santa cannot be empirically proven, then he's not real in any sense. But there are very real things that are not material and are supernatural, and myths and fairy tales are part of that realm.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that goes into that really was kind of the height of edgy atheism in the early 2010s, right? That's when that was really starting to take hold. Yeah. So honestly, like, Santa is real. I agree.
Guys, like, Santa is realer than any of these people are ready to admit to themselves, but hopefully one day they'll have some joy in their hearts.
I'll share a story with you, like how. So me and Olivia were discussing this whole thing, and we got to discussing Santa, and she told me that she figured out the truth about Santa, whatever that truth was. Again, I'm being vague here, by saying that one year she got an iPod Nano or something for Christmas from Santa, and got the case for the iPod Nano from her parents, and that somehow triggered something in her that made her see it differently, let's say. And I was like, what? Your dad hit up Santa Claus, was like, if you get her this, I'll get her this. I don't see the problem there. Like, what? I was like, what were you, 25? Like, when did this happen?
I think when my parents jumped the shark with it is when we were like misbehaving. They picked up the landline phone that we still had. Like, it was one of the wireless landline phones, but they picked up the landline and they were like, I'm on the phone with the North Pole right now.
See, if they
we're gonna tell you,
if your
you're
dad
on the naughty list.
If your dad had brought out like a sat phone, that would have been more believable.
Or his BlackBerry for work. But when did you find out, I guess, if
I
there
don't
was
know.
a moment?
I
feel like most people don't have that moment.
I don't.
Right?
Like your brother's story is foreign to me. Like the idea that you just one day had this revelation and you were like, oh my gosh. Like, no, I just had a revelation and I have no idea when it was or how it happened.
I think that my older brother was more dedicated to me believing in Santa than himself in a weird way.
Well, I mean, is that a good thing? That's like him like wanting you to have a little bit of wonder in your life?
I guess, but I just never was emotionally attached to it like that. Maybe I'm the weird one. I don't know.
There you go. All right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into today, guys.
Yeah, so I guess the biggest media scandal of the summer of 2025 was the Coldplay cheating scandal between astronomer CEO Andy Byron and his HR executive, Kristen Cabot. And surprise, surprise, Kristen Cabot is the one who has first broken her silence about the story at last. In an interview with the New York Times, as well as the Times of London, here's what you should know about the story. She has hired a crisis communications consultant who probably secured these interviews for her. Mm-hmm. And the angle is obvious. They want to cast her as the victim. say that basically she did nothing wrong and that all of the people who were engaged in the online and sometimes real life witch hunt for her are the real ones to blame in the story.
Of course.
So the New York Times titled this "The Ritual Shaming of the Woman at the Coldplay Concert."
That was so dramatic.
Yeah. Kristen Cavett was caught on camera with her boss at a concert. The video went viral. Soon she was drowning in the vitriol of strangers. And if you pull up this photo of her, it just has all of the necessary markers of the stereotypical, YouTube apology video that's trying to garner sympathy.
I mean, to me, this is the most HR looking person I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, no shade to her. I'm just saying that like the trope is real for a reason.
Yeah, it's that stare into the camera, searching for sympathy, and that slouchy sweater that you need to wear. Some would call it the empathy sweater. And then she's got her sedated dog laying on her lap, her Bernedoodle.
It's a St. Bernedoodle. Those things are amazing.
This is the person that we're supposed to feel bad for in all of this. Now, some key details which we were not aware of until now actually do change the stories quite significantly.
Yes.
One of them is that both Kristen Cavett and Andy Byron were separated from their respective spouses at the time of the Coldplay concert. Although it was recent, they were both separated and
we've got a 20
in the
here.
Process of divorce.
We got a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, and people wonder what happened to creativity and imagination. I grew up with Santa, and it didn't bother me too much when I learned the truth as a kid. Now I know about the real St. Nicholas of Myra, who is totally based.
I don't know much about the real St. Nicholas, actually. I should read up on that. Kristen Cavett has come to believe that her silence no longer serves her. It made sense in the beginning after she appeared on the Jumbotron aghast in the arms of her boss at the Coldplay concert on July 16th, a moment that caused an international furor. The original TikTok received 100 million views within days. Cavett retreated, trying to make things right with the people who mattered most. Her 2 teenage kids, her employer, the tech company Astronomer, and her second husband, Andrew Cavett, from whom she was separated and negotiating a divorce settlement. In the initial phase, all she could think was, I hurt people. I hurt good people. So, yeah, they were both separated from their spouses at the time. People did not realize that. They thought that they were, I guess, cheating in a more overt sense than they actually were. But they were both legally married. And on top of that, Kristen Cavett now claims this was the very first and only time she and Andy Byron, her boss, were ever physically intimate. Like, that night was the first and only night that they had even kissed. And since then, they have been in very minimal contact and now do not speak anymore. So, according to their story, they were not engaging in some long-term affair which was suddenly exposed to the world.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of one, probably, that would have gone on longer had they not been exposed on TikTok. But that was basically the first and only time that they flirted with each other in any capacity.
After she had a couple of drinks.
But it did cause a lot of interesting discourse about how men and women relate to each other in the workplace, and it can definitely be the breeding ground for affairs because you're with someone for like 8 hours a day, you start to share personal information, and they began to confide in one another about their respective broken marriages, and that made them become closer over time, which then resulted in this outing with her and her friends. And now she is telling her sob story, and they really wanted to frame this as Kristen Cavett got all of the heat for this because she's a woman. If you were paying attention to this story during the summer, they were both getting dragged into oblivion for this.
Yeah.
It wasn't just her, but here's how they framed it in the story. She described in her first interview since the concert what it feels like to be a punchline and a target. In online comments, she had been called a slut, a homewrecker, a gold digger, a side piece, the usual tags for shaming women. Her appearance has been scrutinized, specific body parts evaluated, and found insufficiently pretty. Some of the most famous people in the world, they mention here Whoopi Goldberg and Gwyneth Paltrow, the ex-wife of Chris Martin, have made her humiliation their material. You guys might remember that Astronomer decided to make Gwyneth Paltrow a temporary spokesperson in the summer, and they made a big joke about it. But Kristen Cabot did not take kindly to that. She thinks that that makes Gwyneth Paltrow a raging hypocrite because she and Chris Martin were responsible for coining the term conscious uncoupling when they were splitting up. And they received a lot of backlash for that in the media. She also expressed that she was a huge fan of Gwyneth Paltrow prior to the scandal and of Goop as well, because it's a female-led, female empowerment brand.
I mean no disrespect, but this is Goop, right? Like, this is a Goop.
Yes,
buyer. She is the quintessential Goop.
The quintessential Goop consumer. Yes. And then she said that she ended up getting doxxed. Her phone was blowing up. People found her address. There were paparazzi at her house. She got many death threats. Some more credible than others.
Yeah, I think they said like
whereabouts.
They like reported it as 900. She said it was more like 50 or 60, but still that's 60 too many for something like this. Nobody should be getting death threats just because somebody made a mistake. Like that's insane.
And then she did say that on a handful of occasions she was cornered in public by women, actually, who were screaming at her and calling her names. One of them at a gas station said to her, from her paraphrasing, "Adulterers are the lowest form of human. You don't even deserve to breathe the same air that I breathe."
Okay, look, I don't mean to question, but who is this, like, scholar that used adulterers in a sentence? Like, I don't buy that. Maybe, like, cheaters are the scum of the earth, but I don't know if I buy that while pumping gas, a woman came over and called you an adulterer. Yeah. Unless she's a book talker, but even then, a book talker probably wouldn't frown at adultering, for a lack of a better word.
Some creative flourishes there.
A little bit. Sure. Oh, I have no doubt that people cornered her and said awful stuff. Like I maybe a couple of years ago I would have questioned that, but now I'm like, nah, some people are really annoying. So I believe that. I just don't know if it happened exactly that way.
So the journalist states, "The two of us started the day in the kitchen. Cabot, her hair twisted up in a bun, was nervous, referring to bullet points as she unspooled her tale. But by evening, she was tucked into the couch, her large Bernedoodle Burt Reynolds as much in her lap as he could manage to be. She was not in a sexual relationship with her boss," she said. Before that night, they had never even kissed. Here was her full explanation, though. "I made a bad decision and had a couple of high noons and danced and acted inappropriately with my boss. And it's not nothing. And I took accountability and I gave up my career for that. That's the price I chose to pay. I want my kids to know that you can make mistakes and you can really screw up, but you don't have to be threatened to be killed for them."
That's fair.
I don't think the majority of people were doing that, though. They just found your behavior embarrassing and were making fun of you in a lighthearted way.
We got a 20 here.
Nobody thinks that you deserve to be killed or facing death threats for it.
We got a 20 here from Side June. Says, "At a very young age, I snuck down Xmas Eve night and saw my parents putting gifts under the tree. For years, I pretended I still believed in Santa to appease them. Haven't decided if I will tell my kids about Santa, not yet." Maybe what they should have done is been like, no, Santa had to go. He was running behind schedule. He dropped them down the chimney and we grabbed them and we're just putting them under the tree so that Santa can get on his way to the next house.
Well, I don't think you should have to pretend to believe in Santa just to appease your parents.
I mean, that's a very selfless thing to do, I think, but, not necessary.
Yeah. And she goes into how she started at the company and how they shared with each other in spring this year about their marriages and found out that they were both going through separation. And the saddest part about this story was actually how she described her teenage children's reaction to the story. She has a 14-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son. And when this video started going viral, she broke it to her kids so they would find out from her first. And her daughter's reaction was to actually her parents' separation, or rather her mom and her stepdad saying, "So you really are getting divorced then?"
Oh.
Like she That's like actually the saddest part.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm so sick of people acting like divorce is a victimless crime, or rather not a crime at all. It's just a private matter. I believe that marriage is just as much public as divorce is, and that's kind of the angle I wanted to discuss here, because there were some people kind of taking her side that I didn't expect to.
Okay.
One person, Inez Stepman, said, "I'm of two minds about this. On one hand, adultery should be publicly."
Well, oh, go ahead, Mary. You're gonna have to refresh there, guys. It's okay. She had with the tech issues there. That's all good. 100% good. We will pull this back up, guys, right now. This is one of those articles too, guys, where when people have these discussions about this type of stuff, they kind of forget the fact that for these stories, they become a matter of public spectacle when you can't really do much about it. So, like once you've become famous, there's nothing really you can do when it comes to the public zeitgeist. Yep, nope. There we go. All right. So Cabot decided to rent a getaway for the weekend alone, as if a little. Oh, you good?
Back.
Yep.
I'm back. Anyway, she said, it's a borderline case to me and is way more downstream of internet mob culture than any restoration of public norms. Call me up when public celebrity adulterers get an ounce of the shame that was directed here. And then another take said, it made me hate the culture of internet vigilantism even more. Somewhere along the way, we decided that being bad to someone we felt was deserving of it made us good people, and it's all been downhill since there.
That was the point that I was making. Like when you cut out there, was like, look, unfortunately, the pragmatic truth is like there's nothing you can do in these situations. Like when something catches the public interest, it's there, and there's nothing that person can do about it anymore.
But here's what I take issue with. This person then said, this wasn't someone who shouted racial slurs at a stranger. This was someone who had what should have been an issue relevant to their families, and instead the mob thought they were doing justice by destroying her life and traumatizing her children.
Yeah.
I'm going to just say, like, maybe this doesn't relate to Kristen Cabot and Andy Byron, but in other scenarios, honestly, maybe this is a hot take. Maybe people are going to disagree with me. Cheating on your spouse is worse than shouting racial slurs at a stranger.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the same type of kind of vigilante justice that happened. Remember I don't remember if it was the baseball Karen, but there was another one where they got the lady fired, who was at the baseball game. I don't remember if it was the Karen or if there was a different situation. There was a couple of them this year that happened at baseball games where somebody did something stupid and people went and found their job and got them fired. And it's like, do you not have anything better to do with your life?
I mean, yeah, like, obviously some people took it too far, but there's way too much of the discussion making excuses for her and painting her as the victim, in my opinion, and it's because she's a woman.
What happened to Andy Byron? I thought he left the company too.
Yeah, so ironically, he was reprimanded more harshly because of the fact that he was the CEO. He was essentially asked to resign.
Yeah, held to a higher standard because he was in charge. She was
on the other hand, though, Kristen Cabot was asked to stay. Astronomer asked her to stay on the team, and she declined to do so. And honestly, like, regardless of the fact that Andy Byron is the CEO, she's the head of HR. Okay.
It's not like she was the head. She wasn't the head of new ideas. She was the head of the division. That's whole point is to keep the coworkers, the bosses, and the grunts, working correctly. How can you trust her judgment after that? That's
bullshit. And they asked her to stay because she's a woman and she wasn't being held as accountable as the man in the situation. I bet even if the man were the HR executive and she were the CEO, she would have been asked to stay, and the male HR executive would have been asked to go.
Yeah,
and I think that is quite telling that they wanted her to stay in the company after such a public embarrassment. And I guess props to her for what it's worth for leaving, knowing the consequences for the company, but now she claims that she's deemed unemployable and she's been ghosted by all of her colleagues and can't find a new job.
She might have to go. She might have to go the reinvention in public speaking route.
Maybe. Maybe she needs to do a TED Talk and a memoir.
Like, and I'm not even saying that as like a joke. It's like somebody in her position can pivot to just about anything with that profile. I think she's not in the same position as like what was the Tiffany Gomez, who like she also had people camped out on her lawn for weeks at a time, but she had a marketing background, which means she knew how to pivot and turn it into a W for herself. Whereas this lady probably doesn't want the public profile.
Well, on top of all this, the most ridiculous part of the article is when she calls out Chris Martin for not defending her. She thinks that the Coldplay team should have responded to it by defending her.
What should they have done? Like, what should they, like, what was defending? Because, okay, at that time, nobody knew that they were both separated. So it seemed way worse at the time. Were they supposed to be like, we here at Coldplay, we co-sign infidelity? Is that what they were supposed to say? Also,
like,
I saw another part in this article that said her ex-husband or her like soon-to-be ex-husband was also at the concert, which just proves to you how big of a deal Coldplay is to like Gen Xers and old people.
Like old white people.
Yes, it is their Super Bowl when Coldplay is in town.
Right. Because she said her first thought when they ended up on the Jumbotron was that she knew her ex was at the concert and she didn't want to humiliate him. And he was actually there on a first date himself.
That honestly makes it even less bad. That like this wasn't like we're separated and we're gonna figure it out. They were both clearly looking to date other people.
Right. Exactly.
Like I do kind of feel bad for. I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of feel bad for them. I do.
For both of them.
For both of them. Like when the internet gets its hands on you, there's nothing you can do about it, and it is sad. But I do think that this article framing it in a gendered way is a little bit silly.
Yeah, I just think that's like denying reality. Andy Byron got just as much, if not more, backlash for the scandal. But
the backlash for the woman is always going to take more cultural interest. It's like more stuff will be written about it. It just will.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and that's why it's going to be easier for her to repair her reputation. And also I wanted to mention, just as a random aside, the crisis consultant that she hired also worked for Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah, you gotta bring out the big guns. You gotta bring out the big guns. All right, what would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day? Hopefully, any videos we'll keep from screen sharing, but hopefully we won't have any tech issues. You want to see cringe or cute?
Let's see the cringe first. I believe this one was the one we didn't get to on Wednesday.
Correct. Here it says, ladies and gentlemen, explaining Erica Kirk versus Candace Owens to a stranger. So here we go.
It's pretty great.
Here we go. Refresh.
On the Candace Owens Erica Kirk beef.
I don't have a thought.
It's getting pretty testy out there. Erica Kirk just unfollowed Candace on IG, and she went on Fox and said to please leave her alone while she grieves.
I just watched I Love LA.
See, that's what people should be doing. They should be watching meaningless reality TV. Let's continue.
With Rachel Sennett.
Yeah.
The only Charlie I know is Charlie Brown.
It's really.
Did you see that Sony just bought Peanuts?
No, that's interesting.
Yeah. Olivia's mortified because she can't buy Snoopy now. She would like to own Snoopy, but apparently Sony bought it for like $500 million.
A battle between two factions within the conservative movement, although it's hard to categorize Candace as being part of any movement, because there's one side that wants to believe the establishment can do what's right, and then there's one side that can never believe in the establishment. But Candace has been like more than insinuating that Turning Points and Erica Kirk know more about the Charlie Kirk assassination and maybe even were a part of it. And so Erica accused Candace of making money off of the murder of Charlie and off this like conspiratorial rabbit hole. But Candace fairly says, you're making money off of it too. Turning Points has made $140 million, she says, since Charlie passed away.
Maybe they're just having a diva off. Like, do you have any like opinions on like Taylor Swift and like Sabrina Carpenter, like things like that?
This lady is my hero. This lady is what we should all aspire to.
I thought it was T Swift and Charlie XCX that were beefing.
Yeah, that's what's going on. Do you have any opinions on that? I feel like I could really talk about that.
She's even trying to redirect and pivot, and like she really wants to have a conversation.
I do have a lot of opinions on that.
Yeah, what are those?
Whose side?
That was
She's
amazing.
kind of us.
She
like,
is.
She kind of represents us.
I'm on her side here. She's like, look, I'm not gonna like. She's like, I don't know, I don't care. Like,
People
what about
forget
Charlie
that-
XCX?
There are normies out there still. Actually, though, when I was on a flight recently, coming back into town, I saw in the seat next to me, this woman was scrolling on her phone looking at videos about Candace and Erica, and she was like watching Candace's podcast and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's like that.
I didn't know
Like-
that. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because when with what happened to Charlie Kirk, I was surprised how many people knew who he was. I guess I
Right,
shouldn't
right.
be. I should be just as unsurprised now at how popular Candace Owens is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Here's cute of the day. Okay, this is from Cookie Don. He says, after the tragic loss of Coco in September, I decided to adopt another kitten. This was another one of, is it Meshack? Meshack? He pronounced it before.
Meshack?
Meshack. That's what it is. This one is,
Aww,
I like the American flag food bowl.
very cute.
That is very,
We love Misha. Aww.
looks very scared of its own shadow right there. It'll grow out of that. It'll grow out of that. All right.
Love that.
Let's,
R.I.P.
let's-
Coco.
Let's move on then.
Yeah, so Angel Studios has been in hot water recently because of the release of this new Animal Farm movie that has been adapted for kids. A lot of people have seen the trailer and interpret it as being pro-communism. I don't really have a judgment on that, but amidst all of that controversy, they're also promoting a movie called David for the Christmas season. Today is its theatrical release date. And I saw a bunch of posts on right-wing Twitter that were paid posts. They were marked as such for Angel Studios, claiming that both Disney and Paramount are working behind the scenes to sabotage David and block this movie from getting slots in theaters. In case you were unaware of the context, this is the description for the movie. In a kingdom torn by fear and corruption, a shepherd boy is called to stand against a giant and the darkness behind him. With nothing but faith, courage, and a sling, he defies an empire and awakens the heart of a nation. From the quiet hills of Bethlehem to the roar of the battlefield, his journey will shape kings, test hearts, and reveal that the greatest strength is found in trust, not power. I took a look at the trailer. It looks pretty well done. But this was just one of the first posts that I saw about this movie getting sabotaged. Riley Gaines posted, "We're now learning that Disney and Paramount are allegedly bullying theaters out of showing David. We've seen stunts like this tried before. Hashtag promote David." And then Jack Posobiec also joined in saying, "I'm now hearing that Disney and Paramount are trying to block the new David movie from more theaters and showtimes because it competes with their new animated films. Go see David, send a message that we want biblical stories on the big screen." And then there were a couple from this gimmick account called Wall Street Mav. "David is one of the oldest tales in history. This is the only family and faith-based movie coming out this Christmas season. Disney and Paramount are allegedly using their distribution strength to keep David out of theaters, allegedly threatening to withhold Zootopia, Avatar, and SpongeBob from theaters that show David. Why are Disney and Paramount allegedly targeting a Christian movie based on their history and woke agenda in their movies? This raises serious questions.
Okay, that
Disney
is-
and Paramount don't want the competition of a child-friendly, family-oriented movie from a small studio like Angel Studios."
Can I just, not everything is anti-Christian. This is just business practices, right? So do I believe that this is happening? Maybe. Do I believe it's happening because of the religious nature of the film? No, I don't. Other than perhaps the idea, not because they're necessarily inherently anti-Christian, though obviously we can make that argument that they are, but I think business comes first. And at the holiday season, it would do them well to keep this movie out of theaters because it will do a stronger box office because there are, religious people who will go to movies around the holidays, perhaps more so than any other time of year, similar to how Sound of Freedom did so well because it came out around the 4th of July weekend.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's no proof, though.
No, there is not.
There's no proof that this is actually happening. I saw several people asking Grok to confirm these claims, and Grok repeatedly said, I searched multiple sources and found no credible evidence of Disney or Paramount threatening theaters to block David. The film is scheduled for release December 19th via Angel Studios after resolving an internal lawsuit with its producers. The allegations appear unsubstantiated. So then I was like, what's this internal lawsuit about? Like, was there already a controversy regarding David that they're trying to overshadow with these claims of being sabotaged by larger studios? So I went and looked into that, and it is true. The original distribution agreement took place in 2021 between Angel Studios and Slingshot, which is its own production company. They were responsible for making the movie. And this included provisions for mutual approval on marketing, distribution, and commercialization decisions. Tensions arose, leading Slingshot to terminate the agreement in October of 2024, citing alleged incurable breaches of contract by Angel Studios. Their accusations include attempting a hostile takeover of the project, prioritizing Angel Studios' own business interests, promoting their own subscription service and streaming platform over the film's broader reach, unilaterally making decisions without approval from Slingshot, misusing IP, and other misdeeds like unauthorized merchandising and substandard marketing. This echoed prior disputes, such as Angel Studios' terminated partnership with the Chosen creators over similar issues. The lawsuit sought damages, restitution for IP infringement, and a declaration confirming the agreement's termination. And then, as of October this year, Angel Studios partnered with 2521 Entertainment to acquire the full David franchise, including the film and series, from Slingshot for $78 million, and Angel Studios contributed $31 million of that. As part of the settlement, the lawsuit was dismissed between Slingshot and Angel. Both parties were released from claims, and Angel regained distribution and IP rights to David. Statements from both parties expressed positivity about the resolution, emphasizing it allowed the film to reach global audiences as intended. And now they're proceeding with their theatrical release this weekend. But again, there's no proof provided that Disney and Paramount are pulling strings behind the scenes to keep people from seeing a Christian movie.
So Paramount has SpongeBob coming out, if I remember correctly. And Disney, of course, has Zootopia, which is on like a generational run now of like over $1 billion in like no time at all. But again...
And then there's Avatar, obviously, which is also sort of marketed as a family-friendly, all-ages film from Disney.
We got a 20 here from Kyle Dixon. Says, Merry Christmas, PCC. Enjoy your break and see you all in the new year. See you next year. I can't
Merry
wait.
Christmas, Happy New Year, etc.
The great thing about being married now is I'm one step closer to being able to give dad jokes when when the new year comes. I go, see you next year on January 30 or on December 31st.
I'm just saying, like, all of these obviously paid promotional posts for Angel Studios really are disheartening and kind of make me feel detached from reality when I'm scrolling Twitter these days. Because one week it's every right-wing gimmick account and, high follower count right-wing voice promoting Paramount and shitting on Netflix and saying that Paramount is based and Netflix is woke. And then the next week it's Paramount is leveraging their power over a family Christmas movie because they've turned their backs on their audience. And it's impossible to follow.
The idea that it's framed as like somebody at Disney being like, who's got like a cross that's crossed. He's got a crossed out cross in his office and he's like waving his fists like this, like I'll get you religious movie. That is a method of framing here that's done to whip up support. We got a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says there's absolutely no proof to the Paramount and Disney plus Disney blocking David's story. Not to mention with the Warner Brothers Discovery potential proxy fight, Paramount would want to lay low for anything that would look anti-competitive. I mean, that's true, but David Ellison he wants to keep pushing. He is not subtle. He doesn't know subtlety, and he doesn't seem to want to go at half speed. He seems to want to go full speed ahead for what he wants, but that doesn't mean that this is true, and I don't believe that this is true. I would need to see more evidence that this was something real. But like, do I believe that it's possible that that those studios want to keep a potentially successful animated movie out of the theaters at a time of year when it would flourish? Yeah, I could believe that. But without the proof, it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, and then if you look back at the first spate of paid influencer posts about David, back when the trailer first came out, one from Anna Lulis says Angel Studios is releasing a film featuring the biblical story of David, countering Netflix's anti-God agenda.
Again, that is a matter of framing.
You know, if you have a Netflix account, you can log in and search for faith-based movies on Netflix. There are a lot of them. So I look, I'm not like caping for Disney, Paramount, Netflix, or Angel Studios here. I'm just saying a lot of this is culture war slop.
And a lot of them, they will make both types of movies so that they can get both types of audiences. That's literally the point, right? The
Right.
point is to try and get everybody rather than just some. And a lot of companies have invested a lot of money in faith-based entertainment this last couple of years because it's becoming to be seen as a more viable option than perhaps it was 15 to 20 years ago.
Sort of the same way that Christian and gospel music has become far more popular in recent years, even just recent months, and people are going to capitalize on that the same way.
Yeah. Again, but to me, that's a comforting thing. I want, like, if you want the businesses to do what you want, then you show them that the material that you like is going to be worth spending money on. Therefore, you can get more of it. Like that, to me, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Right. But then again, I am frustrated when people say that you should just go support the movie because it aligns with our values. It should be good, and we should hold it to the same standards. It should be able to stand on its own 2 feet. And
it doesn't
in a way
escape
that's a little bit of like anti-woke DEI or like Christian DEI.
It doesn't escape. It doesn't escape its initial audience if you go to see it just because it aligns with your values. When it's so good that it can bring people out that it might not normally get, that's when something can actually hit a modicum of cultural relevance that can extend it beyond just the people that would already see it. I saw some of the reviews for the trailer. They said it was average, but it's preaching to the choir, and what you're looking for here is something that stands out. I mean, I saw very good reviews for King of Kings, and obviously
Put a girl on.
Put a girl
Is that Crisis Party volume acceptable for all of you? I hope so.
That was
It was acceptable for me. Thank you. I maybe shouldn't say this, but speaking of the Christian DEI thing, I have had a couple of people, not in any recent times, want to like be guests on this show. And I'm not like even big timing right now, but they said that I should have them on because they're Catholic and that I should help them because I'm Catholic and they're Catholic. And I'm like, no, like we'll have you on if we want to have you on because you have motion and and like have something that you want to promote that we think is cool.
See, I'm
Like,
going to do that
not just because you're Catholic do I owe you anything.
I'm going to do that to Tom Cruise. I'm going to be like, you should put me in a movie. I'm short. You're short. You should put me in a movie.
Yeah, like that just doesn't really go over well, no matter who it's about.
There is another 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. He says Angel Studios does not appear to be the kind of company that would do reverse black PR to try and drive box office. If they are, shame on them. Well, yeah, we can't speak to that.
I see another one from Pop Culture Junkie. There's absolutely no proof.
I got that one. I already did that one.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I already did that one.
got it.
Yeah, so no, like I don't know if any of that is true, but if it is true and they've got their own internal memos and information, then my issue is the framing of it being because it's religious and not merely because they're doing exactly what every big company does when they put a movie out. They try to favor the odds towards themselves. It's kind of the same way that Disney used to, like Disney, at least it used to be this way. I do not know if it's still this way. But when a movie would come out in the theaters for Disney, Disney got a larger share of the opening box office in that opening weekend because they're Disney. And they can be like, or we can pull our movie and you get nothing.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit too. especially because like if we're talking Marvel movies are front loaded. So when Disney's like, we want to keep 60-40 or maybe 70-30 opening weekend, well, that's when they make the lion's share of their money on those movies. Like,
Well,
so the
as for
studio
the,
loses out big time, or the theater loses out big time.
The reverse black PR strategy, it's not really a theory. It's quite obviously what they're doing, because all of the posts that I brought up here in this segment have promotional tags. So
I mean,
they are in fact being paid. No shade, get your bag, but people are being paid to baselessly claim that Disney and Paramount are sabotaging Angel Studios.
This would only be, and the only reason I would take an issue with this otherwise would be if it wasn't disclosed.
Yeah, thankfully it is, as far as I can tell, being disclosed that these are promotional posts.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about what's going on with Generation I Don't.
Yeah, so it seems like millennial and Gen Z women have resolved to never get married, even though they are in committed, long-term heterosexual relationships with men who, it appears, want to get married and are merely acquiescing to their preferences. The New York Post covered this phenomenon. Meet Generation I Do Not, young women who refuse to get married and vow to never change their minds about it. And they interview a few different women in this article. I think they're all millennials, actually, but this is certainly observable amongst Gen Z women as well. Here they mention one who goes by Carly B, 29. Becoming somebody's wife isn't something she ever wanted for herself. Happily in love with her boyfriend of 9 years? Check. Marrying him? Absolutely not. That is no reflection on Matt, 30, according to Carly, who works for a PR and branding agency and asked the couple's last names not be used. Before the pair met, the 29-year-old had always made it a point to avoid romantic involvements with the kind of men who wanted wedding bells and kids. She said, "It was a very prominent ground rule for me before entering any sort of relationship. I don't necessarily need a contract that tells me my status with my partner or tells me that I love him more than I would without one. I know exactly how we feel about each other, and I feel good with just that." So, the first mistake here is common amongst both pro and anti-marriage people, which is that they think marriage is a statement about how you feel about somebody. And that's something that we all need to correct ourselves on. That is something that is unique to this day and age, that people view marriage that way. It's not about how you feel about someone. Marriage is not a public declaration that you really like hanging out with this person. It's just not meant to be an emotional thing. It's instead it is a sacrament, actually, and I do think there's very little point in getting married, if any point, unless you are doing so in the sacramental sense. I don't think if you're irreligious, there is very little arguable point to doing so unless you're looking for tax breaks and social proof. But she continues, while so many of Carly's single and searching counterparts swipe endlessly on dating apps hoping for happily ever after, she was, quote, never the girl who makes a Pinterest board for her wedding or dreams about what it would look like. And again, you're equating marriage to a wedding party. You're equating marriage to a dress or a ring or a cake or a photo shoot, when it's none of those things. Putting a ring on it, locking things down, heading to City Hall for a piece of paper. Not for Carly, whose parents are divorced, but aren't the reason she doesn't want marriage. When the Pennsylvania natives who met on Tinder are questioned about plans to get hitched, Carly is brutally honest with them. I usually say, that's not something I want for myself. And we're not going to ever do that. I think me saying that makes them think there's something wrong with our relationship. But no, I made the decision, he's along with it, and that's fine. So that's very telling.
Yes,
she obviously unilaterally made this decision, and he is merely going along with it because he's a wimp and isn't willing to end the relationship to find someone whose values align with his. And they say Carly is among a slew of women her age, either single or in relationships, who are adamant about never marrying and are considering the I don't generation. Nearly half of US women now say they don't think getting married is a necessary part for a fulfilled life. That is, as of a 2023 Pew Research study, giving the side eye to a tradition they feel no longer serves them. So here's another misconception.
Them, I, me.
There's another misconception that marriage is supposed to serve you. Excuse me, like, I just feel this is totally divorced from all of human history. Marriage is about serving someone else, not you.
At the start, it's about living in service of the one you marry, and then your children once you have kids. Like,
so I mean, the question of whether it serves you is totally irrelevant. But I guess if that's the way you view it, it's a good thing that you're not getting married, because that wouldn't go so well. But yeah, then they continue with a comment from a relationship coach. There's a wave of women either rethinking marriage or skipping it altogether, and it's getting louder every year. It's about autonomy, peace, and building lives around what feels right, not what tradition dictates. They just have no idea how they sound. When dating for as long as they have, Carly said she and Matt have been through it all together. Long distance, college graduation, leaving jobs at the same time. But still, 9 years, I don't want to get married, and he knows that. Even though she admits he would love to.
When I read that in the article, I was like, bro.
Yeah, there you have the real story.
Bro. The other part that I find
on a leash.
The other thing that I find annoying about this is they frame it as if their decision has these valid, deeply felt reasons, and the other one is just tradition, trademark, and that there aren't valid reasons or understandable explanations as to why tradition exists.
Right. It's my feelings take precedent over literally everything and everyone else. And people who lived before me, who are now on the ground, couldn't possibly have had valid reasons for the ways they live their lives or their worldviews. And then she expanded on that, saying, I'm the one who is pushing this harder than he is. But he's known since day one. If there's ever even a thought that he wants marriage or family beyond what I can give him, then we would need to break up and figure that out in our own ways.
Yeah.
So essentially, Matt in this story is a forever boyfriend, and that's kind of a class of people we don't often hear about. We hear more about forever girlfriends.
Men in women's fields.
Yeah, seriously, he's breaking glass ceilings for everybody. Yep. And then they move on to talk to a 30-year-old named Jess. She and her boyfriend have been dating for 5 years, are head over heels for each other, but she doesn't see a wedding in their future. As the oldest of three, she owns her own social media marketing and content creation agency. And growing up, she has always been independent and career-oriented, never giving relationships or marriage much thought, despite being raised by happily married parents. I was never like this, oh, I'll wear this wedding dress, or I can't wait to have a big wedding. Instead, I would watch rom-coms and think, I want that career. I want her closet. And now in her 30s, Jess shudders at the archaic concept of saying I do, even to a man she loves, because she believes that becoming a wife subconsciously forces women to give up a part of themselves. How about you tell that to your mother? I wonder how your mother would feel about that accusation.
And yes, it causes you to give up the notion that you're the only thing that matters. It forces you to give up the notion that you live a life only for yourself now. There is somebody else in your life that has to take precedent, and it's going to take everything you have to be able to take care of them, to be able to help them, to be able to love them, and that's a beautiful thing. And to see it as something negative is kind of gross.
Yeah, in the sacramental view of marriage, you become one flesh, and that doesn't annihilate either individual identity. They've seemed to come to the conclusion that that means neither self exists anymore. Mm-hmm. But she says, I feel like I have such a rooted self-identity. I don't think I have witnessed many marriages where the woman doesn't lose herself in the identity of her marriage. Instead of remaining an I, she becomes a we. Despite knowing they want to spend their lives together, Jess told the Post that she and her musician boyfriend, who both live in Pittsburgh, are in no rush to move in together, have been in the no marriage bandwagon for the duration of their relationship, or at least he has acquiesced to his partner's choices.
That seems to be a recurring theme there.
Yeah, interesting.
It's kind of going into what the red pill bros say about men being the actual romantic gender.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's proven in another poll of both Republican and Democrat Gen Zers. The Democrat and Republican men both value marriage for their personal success more than women on both sides of the political spectrum in their same generation. Um, and now she says, regardless of how far women have come in society, that once a couple enters the husband and wife territory, it's hard for them to avoid falling into stereotypical gender roles. Some men really want a girl who will cook and clean for them, so they want to date their mom. I can't even imagine being with someone who would expect those things.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the emotional labor.
But what they're missing from the point there is that when done right, and not in the case of the type of guy who expects you to do all that and work a full-time job, is that means that the woman he would be seeking would be a woman who would be figuratively looking to date her dad, a guy who theoretically took care of her mom while she was at home doing domestic duties. But that's not even the reality of most of society anymore. Most people are most jobs, they have to both work. That's just the way of the world now. And when you have chores at home, you work together to find out a rhythm for how you do those. And that turns into all of its own unique gender-based content. You know, the women who make the videos shaming men because they don't clean the right way. I don't know what the male alternative of this is. I don't know what men would shame women for with videos like that, but men are less likely to make those types of social media content unless it's skit humor and not real. But it's not to say that there aren't men that are selfish in the world. Obviously that exists. But when you see those videos from women, it's usually something like that. Or the thing I sent you earlier where it's like, guys, like if your lady wants you to get something from the grocery store, don't ask her for a picture of it. You're a big boy with a big boy brain and a phone in your pocket. You can figure it out yourself. You just sound so depressing to be around. That was a real thing I was reading earlier.
Yeah, and I see also a lot of divorce attorneys who have taken up a side hustle on social media because it's easy rage bait content. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them say that the majority of divorce cases they encounter involve women who work and are still expected to perform the majority or 100% of domestic duties, including childcare in the home. Mm-hmm. And that is understandably frustrating for anyone, but isn't that actually more an indictment of the state of our economy?
Yes. Well, yeah.
Rather than gender roles?
Yeah.
Like, I believe that most of those women actually would prefer not to work, but they work because they have to work.
And it's actually fair to point out that the women they chose for this article are specifically dedicated career women, and it even goes to the point of of acknowledging that we live in an age now where women are out earning men at jobs. They're graduating college at higher rates. They're entering the C-suite at higher rates than men are even now, even if they don't outnumber men at those types of corporate jobs. It's still rage bait content about how women are being held back, despite the fact that they've made all of these inroads. They have to have this to turn the sexes against each other, which sucks.
There has to be a boogeyman here in this story. And another 33-year-old woman interviewed for this piece said that she broke up with her longtime fiance that she was with in her 20s and has found happiness single. She said, "I think we as women, especially millennial women, have been fed this narrative through movies and the media of the girl and the guy getting together, they get married, they have kids, they get the house, and they live happily ever after." I don't know what planet you're on.
Yeah,
were millennial women inundated with stories like that? It was literally the opposite.
I mean, I don't know. I don't watch those types of movies, but Nicholas Sparks movies were very popular. But then again, we just had that conversation about how movies program you to choose broke men.
From everything I can tell, I think that millennial women were inundated with propaganda that they shouldn't get married and settle down and all of those things that she listed.
You should eat,
But
pray, love instead.
I don't know. Yeah, like it started well before millennial women were even born. But yeah, then they also wanted to offer a male perspective here. He remained anonymous, understandably so. He said, I understand why women today feel like marriage doesn't benefit them anymore, but it is disheartening to many of us good guys who want an equal partnership and would never expect our wives to be a mother figure to us. I grew up watching my parents' love for one another and always yearned for that type of bond. For me, marriage feels like a way to make our love official and celebrate it in front of our closest friends and family. Sure, it's a piece of paper, but one that holds a lot of weight for me and I would hope for my future wife. Again, another person who has severe misapprehensions and misinterpretations of the purpose and meaning of marriage. Even though he is in favor of it and wants to get married, he clearly doesn't understand what it is either. So there's a lot of malformation of the millennial generation in this regard, regardless of how they individually feel about marriage or their desire to be in one. And I wanted to show this video of, it appears to be a Gen Z woman on TikTok talking about the attitudes that she believes men hold about domestic labor.
Okay.
And specifically being told to get back in the kitchen or make me a sandwich, and how she believes that right-wing men are trying to rehab the image of the trad wife to make it seem more appealing, even though secretly they all know that it's slavery.
Okay.
So let's take a look at that.
Do you need me to screen share, or are you good?
I'm fine. You can play it.
Here we go.
Do you remember growing up how boys would always tell girls, get back in the kitchen or
It's,
make me a
it's not
sandwich?
on screen
Oh,
yet.
hold on there, guys. Here we go.
Tell girls, get back in the kitchen or make me a sandwich as an insult. It was like a quick degrading thing that guys would say to you. Like you'd be in a disagreement with them and they would just tell you to get back in the kitchen. And that is the thing, is like men think that traditionally feminine roles are degrading. They think it's degrading that you would be in the kitchen making them a sandwich, which is why they hurl it at you as an insult. And I'm just thinking about it because right now there's this big right-wing push to get women back into the home, and conservative men are constantly telling us like, you shouldn't have a job, you should actually be a wife and a mother, and you should give birth, and you should get back into the kitchen, and you should make me a sandwich. And the message
Is there actually been who are the ones other than like Myron Gaines who are actually saying that? I don't know them, but let's continue.
messaging is like, well, the home is where you would be the most happy, and the home is where you would be the most valued. And I feel like I'm being gaslit because I'm like, wait, you don't value women who work in the home. You told me it was degrading and that I should
No, he didn't tell you that. Some other person told you that.
be like embarrassed to make you a sandwich. You telling me that women are the most valued in the home is the exact opposite message that I've been getting directly from men for my entire life. And I think what's happening is that men who used to tell us make me a sandwich as an insult never really thought that women would have the option to do anything but that. So now that a lot of women are like opting out of marriage and opting out of children, we're choosing careers and we're starting to make more money, now there's this
Bro, these were like men in like the 2000s? the dark days of the 2000s.
This is a very conspiratorial take, isn't it? It sounds like she's talking about the general men's council meeting that you all attend once a year.
The He-Man Woman Haters Club. The He-Man Woman Haters Club, of which I am the treasurer. And I call to meeting.
Where you discuss your PR strategies of how to deceive women into becoming trad wives, and it's not working. We see through it.
Yeah.
It's just like, why? I don't remember a single time when I was in like elementary, middle school, or high school when a guy ever said something like that to me. Like maybe on the internet, but in real life, no, I don't remember that personally. But, you know, why are you taking the words of like a 14-year-old boy that bullied you in middle school and extrapolating that to mean that all men think that homemaking is degrading and a form of slavery, and that's why you shouldn't do it?
You can't fix this type of worldview. It's not fixable. I'm sorry.
I just look, personally, I don't think that, well, we live in a very like ahistorical time right now, and like it's very recent relative to the rest of human history that love has been such a focal point in marriage. And I mean romantic love, like fuzzy feelings. That's a very recent idea that you should marry for love.
Yeah.
Or at least purely for love.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that we should acknowledge is an innovation in this institution. And I do think that you should marry for love these days as a modern woman, because that is why I mean, you don't need a husband. Like, that is the truth. You don't need a husband. So you should marry someone that you actually want to marry and that you actually enjoy being around, because there is zero incentive just on the basis of your bare minimum survival that you need a husband. Like, you don't live in a war-torn country. I mean, hopefully we won't in the coming decades. You do not need to rely on a man to provide food on the table for you. And even if you want to have kids, you can do so without a husband. So really, it is important for you to prioritize romantic love when looking for a spouse. I'm just saying that is an innovation in the institution of marriage that is relatively new, and we should acknowledge that.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into today.
Yeah. Do you want to just move right into Looksmaxxing?
Let's just go to Looksmaxxing right now.
All right. So there is, of course, a discourse about Looksmaxxing, and it depends who you ask who is the purveyor of this discourse. Is it the incel community? Is it pickup artists? Is it red pillars? I would say that a lot of these groups are coalescing, and they have different schools of thought around Looksmaxxing, what it is and why you should or shouldn't engage in it. But essentially, the Looksmaxxing community has taken on a new form in Gen Z, and it's mainly young men who are going about the project of reforming their faces with mastic gum that strengthens one's jawline, and mewing, and even a new form of reshaping one's bones by smashing them, which is called bone smashing.
Clever name.
And they're taping their mouths when they sleep. They're doing all of these things in order to transform their appearances, and they believe it has a real noticeable effect on your quality of life and how people treat you. And you know, they do have some terms that a lot of people find offensive. That's why the New York Post covered the Looksmaxx.org official tier list for appearances. Gen Z PUAs have devised a superficial online rubric for judging people's looks, grading them on a scale from subhuman, hideously ugly, to Terrachad, unattainable aesthetic perfection. According to this hierarchical system, Angelina Jolie, Margot Robbie, and Australian model Jordan Barrett rank among the most attractive people on Earth. Dubbed the PSL scale, an amalgam of three misogynistic online communities, PUA hate, dedicated to ranting about pickup artist culture, slut hate, and lookism, the attractiveness rater has become a fixture among teens on TikTok over the past few years. It was the brainchild of Looksmaxxers, a subset of teens and 20-somethings looking to up their value on the sexual marketplace by reshaping their faces.
I've never seen this place. Where is the actual sexual marketplace? Because it's not in any business that I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, from what I've heard from the Looksmaxxers, it's actually not just about your dating prospects or the sexual marketplace. It has a lot to do with your professional opportunities and your potential social circle. You are, in fact, treated differently based on how you look. That's just a fact of life. Like, I do believe pretty privilege exists. But to allow it to take over your life, I would say that's something we should caution against.
It's a surrender to nihilism.
So can you pull up looksmaxx.org for us, and
Yes.
we can show these different examples on the PSL scale? It does not mean pumpkin spice latte anymore. So this is not a 1 to 10 scale. Most of the time when we were rating looks, it's a 1 to 10 scale. This is a 1 to 8 scale, or rather a 0 to 8 scale. So there's the subhuman category here. I think it's a little unfair to put Donatella Versace on here because we have no idea what she looked like before changing her appearance with plastic surgery. But The individuals falling within this category are exceptionally unattractive and exhibit deformities. Revealing their face could genuinely frighten people, and they have almost no redeeming facial qualities. In the next tier above, it's the low tier normies, 1.5 to 3s. Individuals falling within this category possess an ordinary level of unattractiveness. They might face bullying due to their appearance, generally considered ugly in real life, but nothing serious.
Okay, so what I see here is Ed Sheeran, Jay-Z. Is that DJ Khaled?
DJ Khaled,
Seth Rogen, Louis Capaldi.
I'm not sure who the other guys
I think
are.
That's Louis Capaldi. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
And I don't know who that is. But here's the thing. They're all successful, so that balances it out for them. It's like, have you ever seen that meme? It says, like, if Jay-Z can pull Beyonce, then anyone can. No, dummy. It's because he's a billionaire.
Well, what about the female examples of low-tier normies? Do you think that these women, successful as they may be, are unable to overcome their low attractiveness?
I mean, here's the thing. I think this in the middle, I think that's Brock Lesnar's daughter. So you don't want to approach her anyways, because you don't want Brock Lesnar coming for you if you besmirch or otherwise harm the honor of his daughter. It will be the end of your life.
So
and this is, I think this is this one of Bruce Willis's kids?
I'm not sure.
I think
I've
that's
never seen
like
these
Rumor
examples.
Willis or something like that. I could be completely misremembering that. I thought that was one of Bruce Willis's daughters.
Above them, you've got the mid-tier normie.
Okay.
Individuals belonging to this group are entirely average. They epitomize the common person. While they might be seen as unattractive by a few, in truth, they are simply ordinary. You've got John Mulaney in the male examples, and I don't recognize any of these women.
Is that I think that's Alex Rodriguez? I don't know who that is in the
Not
right
sure.
there. I don't know who any of these women are.
And then you've got high-tier normies. Individuals in this group are typically seen as appealing and good-looking, often being among the most attractive individuals in a classroom or small workplace setting.
Wait, so Ronaldo is a high-tier normie because he was the face of the meme, "You're not ugly, you're just poor." Because there used to be the pictures of him before he got like his teeth fixed and got the haircut.
Is that
Justin Bieber's there.
Yeah, Justin Bieber.
Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
That's Zolo. So the dude from Blue Beetle.
Yeah,
and Cobra Kai.
I didn't recognize his name.
Yeah.
And then in the female examples, you've got Dua Lipa, Amanda Seyfried, Gigi Hadid, Zendaya, and I don't recognize the other two here.
Is one of these, who's the one in the middle and the top? Is that Ana de Armas?
I don't think so, no. She's in the tier above. She's called a Stacey Light or a Chad Light. Individuals in this category experience an advantage in their lives due to their looks. Their appearance can potentially launch a modeling career or substantial following on social media.
Wait. So you're telling me that Cillian Murphy, he goes here, but that's just because he has an interesting face. He has a model's face.
Right, exactly. But that means that he has an advantage above just the ordinary level of attractiveness because he looks a little bit strange.
And then Liam Hemsworth is on there. So does that mean Chris Hemsworth better be higher than him?
And then Ana de Armas is in this category, as is Keira Knightley, Jennifer Connelly.
Okay, I see her there.
Victoria Justice. And then you've got the Stacy or Chad right above them. They would easily stand out in a crowd, possessing at least one striking feature, if not more. They encounter no difficulties attracting romantic partners unless facing severe mental health issues. Their looks serve as an extreme advantage in various aspects of their lives.
The only one that I recognize from this is Amber Heard and Rob Lowe. And young Rob Lowe. Those are the only ones that I recognize.
There's also Madison Beer and Cara Delevingne in the female examples here. And then you've got Giga Stacys and Giga Chads. That is the highest tier you can possibly belong to. And I don't recognize the male examples here.
I can't believe Liam Hemsworth ended up on one of these lists and Chris Hemsworth didn't.
Yeah, and then The female Giga Stacys include Adriana Lima, Margot Robbie, Megan Fox, Angelina Jolie. It's funny because a lot of people have argued that Margot Robbie is like mid, which is insane.
That means that she should be a high tier normie.
The most puzzling cerebral aspect of this tier list is that Tara Chads and Tara Stacys don't actually exist.
There are none.
They are virtually impossible, perhaps 1 in 12 billion people. No one can achieve absolute perfection or universal attractiveness to every woman worldwide. This designation is reserved for mythical figures like Adonis or Apollo, as well as religious icons such as angels or prophets. Due to the nature of objectivity, certain individuals might argue that certain models or actors fall into this category. However, objectivity is subjective and cannot be unequivocally regarded as truth.
Okay, then. That's
going a little bit beyond the scope of the PSL grading scale there.
How philosophical of them.
Yeah, that was quite an impressive pontification.
Yes.
On epistemology there. But I also wanted to highlight one particular Looksmaxxing streamer slash TikToker that is gaining a lot of traction right now. And Brett didn't know about him until I told him today. He goes by the screen name Clavicular, and he was actually
never heard
recently
of this dude.
He was recently interviewed by Michael Knowles. So I'll be looking forward to listening to what he has to say. But he has a lot of controversies under his belt. Here is a picture of him. He is arguably the premier Looksmaxxing influencer at the moment. He is the new face of American youth inspiration.
Am I reading this correct? It says
can't...
he uses meth daily for leanness.
I can't confirm or deny any of these claims because I don't watch Clavicular's streams. I don't know any of this stuff. But here are the claims. He uses meth daily for leanness. That might refer to recreational Adderall. I don't know.
Yeah.
Claims anabolic steroids are safer than alcohol. Practices medicine without a license on his 16-year-old GF. I did see a clip of his stream where he was injecting his girlfriend's face with something. I don't know what that was about. And he promotes bone smashing, which involves hammering your own face to create hunter eye microfractures.
Should we watch that quick? Should we watch the bone smashing?
Let's show an example of bone smashing from Clavicular here.
This is a real thing, guys. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Fuck this. Let's do a little bit more. No contraction of the face.
You can hear it. You can hear it hitting him in the face.
Yeah, and that looks like it's like a baseball trophy that he got as a kid.
He's like, look, I've shed my skin as a child, and I am now a Looksmaxxer.
You have to push past the pain. Look at me. I've been bone smashing for about 2 years.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
If it hurts, that's how you know.
That's how you know it's working.
And they go on to explain he pushes limb lengthening surgery on teenagers and calls lifelong pain from these procedures a cope. Teaches 14-year-olds to take aromatase inhibitors so they never hit puberty properly. Runs paid Telegram groups giving TRT and peptide protocols to minors. Sells $300 Looksmaxxing guides that are just screenshots from old forums. Fraudulently adds 3 inches to his height with shoe lifts while calling anyone under 6'2" subhuman. Recommends chewing rocks, mastic gum and actual rocks, and thumb pulling your eye sockets for free facial ascension.
Oh my god.
Anything I missed is probably illegal in at least 3 states.
I mean, some of that stuff is already illegal in at least 3 states.
So, people ask, you know, why are you doing all of this? Like, why are you putting yourself through hell just to look like moderately better? And I think that Clavicular and other Looksmaxxing influencers would say, contrary to popular belief, it's not for women. It's not for female attention. And that is why a lot of people think that Looksmaxxing is quite effeminate for men to engage in. And I saw this post recently that kind of addressed this. It said, I find it disturbing when men have vanity opinions. And this relates to how they, preen themselves, but also how they judge women's looks. If you think a girl is pretty and want to compliment, cool. Why does every guy suddenly feel like they need to be America's next top model / Vogue editor critique of beauty standards? Instagram feminized men in ways they cannot understand. Men have no business having opinions about stuff like this. If it's not your taste, move on. Every man squealing like a prima donna about his beauty standards and critique of taste needs to go. Such a weak way to assert yourself in the world.
There's something to that, right? For guys, that it's absolutely like a waste of time if you shout to the high heavens about it constantly. It is. Yeah. It's feminine.
And I also think that to try to be more sympathetic to these young men who are consuming this content, it is clearly a way that they're like sublimating their feelings of powerlessness in the world, feelings that are based in reality for many reasons that we don't have time to get into. But I recently posted about this like last month and got a lot of pushback for it, but I'll just read what I tweeted out. I said, there's nothing wrong with people going to the gym and getting healthier, stronger, but there clearly is a trend of young right-wing men who obsess over physical fitness because they feel and often are powerless in nearly every other area of their lives. And I think lookism or looksmaxxing can be judged the same exact way. Like, if you feel like you only have power over how you look, and that's the only way that you feel you can level up in life is by becoming more attractive, makes perfect sense why you would be attracted to this type of content. It's kind of a cope.
It's an offshoot of a person who, when everything falls apart, they throw themselves into work. When you when something very important in your life is out of your control, you have to seek to find the thing that you can control. And oftentimes that's your ability to work harder, work longer hours, commit more to something that you're passionate about. If that happens to include beating your own face with a trophy, I would say that you've gone too far.
Yeah, like there are definitely ways to looksmax that no one would judge you for and no one would call it self-destructive. Like, obviously working out without the help of, anabolic steroids, perhaps getting a good haircut, improving the way you dress, your personal hygiene, any list of things I could go on. If you're injuring yourself or getting irreversible surgeries or messing up your hormones, which are a very delicate thing that we don't entirely understand, that's where I would say you're taking it too far, and you probably should not be telling young, impressionable children really to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, it's I do agree that it's very, very feminine for guys to worry so much about how women are dressing and looking, but also for themselves. It's a matter of the second substances get involved. That was kind of the point. I don't know if again, because of this week, I don't know if it was on a show with you or somebody else, but I basically pointed out is like when you have to take the shortcut, and I think it was in the context of Ozempic, like you won't actually achieve any of the ability to feel more confident that comes with losing weight the real way, losing weight on your own, which can increase your feelings of self-worth because you're watching yourself actively make a change and seeing the results come to pass. That's very different than when you use a chemical to do it.
Right. Yeah. And you're going to feel more neurologically rewarded for doing so, for changing your habits.
Yep. Very disturbing. All right.
I think it's cute in a way. It's endearing.
Let's go to Super Chats then. Let's do it.
High Voltage 75 said, welcome back, Mary. I missed your last live appearance, but I heard in the replay you actually ate the pretzels. What's next? You're getting a dog? Absolutely not. When I accepted the pretzels, those were in my life for only a few minutes. I would not commit to getting a dog. You will never hear that news from me that I changed my mind about owning a dog. I will never own a dog.
We got a couple of Rumble rants here. I'll do these. From the local Wendigo says, okay, let's just replace Santa with Krampus and traumatize them. Let's not do that. Don't traumatize the kids.
What about Jack Frost? We can bring Jack Frost into...
The horror movie? Jack Frost?
No, like the mythical figure.
Oh. Well, you should watch the horror movie Jack Frost with the killer clown. Or I'm sorry, the killer snowman. It's amazing.
Something really weird is happening with my lighting right now.
Yeah, it's a shadow from your laptop.
Well, there's this window that's reflecting back onto me.
Yep.
Corey Anderson.
Well, let's just finish these. Let's do these Rumble rants quick. Broody Gambit says, I never believed in Santa, but always grew up getting gifts from Santa and still do. It was really just something my parents did culturally, but they acknowledged it. And then Local Wendigo says, the Santa tracker started because a bunch of kids somehow got NORAD's number thinking it was Santa in the North Pole and would keep calling them. See, that's adorable.
Yeah.
And then
I'm pro that.
One more from the Local Wendigo says, why date for 9 years and not pop the marriage question? But if she said she doesn't want marriage or family, I'm ghosting her. Yeah, I mean, it would be a waste of your time. The best thing you could say about those ladies is that they were upfront, at least, about what they wanted, and it's on the men for being too sad to just move on and find something they actually want.
That's the difference, I think, between the forever girlfriends and the forever boyfriends. It seems like the forever girlfriends are often in a situation where the guy is kind of leading them on intentionally and telling them, like, no, we'll get married one day, one day, one day. And they want to mislead her about their intentions. Yeah. Whereas the women in that story were very open and upfront about what they are looking for. So if the guy knows that he's in a dead-end relationship, he should be the one to fix that.
Yep.
Hi to Santa.
Dude, no. So earlier it was the wind was so bad it actually turned off the main monitor in front of me and had to put us on backup power.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't happen while we're still live.
Yep.
Corey Anderson said that Santa is real or fake. The poll is confusing. Maybe we should check the poll results.
Yep. 1 sec.
Sorry if it was confusing for anybody, but what it meant was telling your kids that Santa is real, yes or no.
63 to 37. So far, yes, 63%. Should parents tell their kids about Santa? 63% say yes. 37% say no.
It should be more than that. 63?
I think this is because of the confusing nature of the language.
I hope so. Yeah. Adam it all to hell said, I can't believe Brett replaced Mary with AI Mary. Oh well, Mary, set a pasta timer for al dente. No, I'm real, I swear. I don't know how I can prove it though.
Yeah, you'd have to. How do you prove that you're real?
I have all my fingers. You can count them. All 10 of them are right here. Yep. Shane H. Wilder said, since Mary isn't there to beat Brett, Santa is sneaking in to slap him like he's the heretic Arius. Oh, wait, that is the only story I actually already knew about St. Nicholas, is that he did, in fact, slap a heretic in the face.
Yeah.
Robert Delara said, Santa Claus is based on St. Nicholas, so it is based on truth. For the people who voted no in the poll and are anti-Santa, don't be a Scrooge.
I agree.
Totally agree. Slavic McGoth said, St. Nicholas slapped a bee for being heretical. Easily the most iconic story about him. Junie said, oh wait, we already read that one earlier. Greg Duvier said, guys, admit it, the reason Mary went remote is because Brett couldn't handle the physical abuse anymore, or Mary was going deaf from the crisis parties.
See, that doesn't actually line up, because I would rather take the physical abuse than have to deal with the tech concerns. So, you know, I am physically strong but emotionally weak in this situation.
Imagine if we actually did go remote because Brett got a restraining order.
I'm just like, look, I'll do it, but I have to, you gotta go. You gotta be somewhere else.
Okay, Kyle Dixon.
I think I did that one.
Already read that one. What else we have? Alejandro Reyes said, I actually started nodding along to the crisis party, a bop as the youth say nowadays. Are we gonna stick with the old crisis sound?
I've got 3 on here now on my soundboard, so I can switch
rotate.
It up. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
That's fun. Shane H. Wilder said, Netflix has a great, accurate movie about Fatima. I didn't know that.
See, that stuff never gets any press.
There are plenty of faith-based movies on all of the streaming services. So, I mean, I guess I understand where people are coming from if they feel like faith-based movies are unfairly maligned. Like, that was certainly the case when it came to Sound of Freedom.
I'm telling you, I'm just looking for all of the murder mysteries. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the Hallmark murder mysteries. That's what I want to watch.
Yeah, and you know, you really need to get on the Great American Family movies and tell us how they compare.
I know.
I want to know. Shane H. Wilder said, I'm tired of biopics of musicians that are still alive, but Song Sung Blue is another level. It isn't about Neil Diamond, but a Neil Diamond cover band.
Yeah, that's awful.
What?
That's awful.
I thought it was about Neil Diamond. What? There's a movie about a Neil Diamond cover band?
I mean, that's exactly the type of thing where you just know some guys like, but here's the catch. It's not actually about Neil Diamond. It's about this famous Neil Diamond cover band. And then life was better when Hollywood executives snorted cocaine in The Office. This would have never been approved if they were still snorting cocaine in The Office.
That's like about as absurd as the Pharrell biopic where he's a Lego for no reason.
I think that one got canceled, though.
Really?
I think so.
I thought it came out.
Maybe it already came out.
It was already done, so there's no way they could just get rid of it at that point.
Write it off for taxes.
That's crazy. Yeah, I was just like, first of all, nobody would watch a Pharrell biopic. And secondly, he's a Lego for no reason.
Pharrell Williams cancels biopic directed by Michael Gondry.
Oh, it's just never coming out?
I mean, unless this was a different one and there was two of them.
That's wild.
Maybe there was another one.
No, I really thought that the Lego one did come out, but maybe I'm imagining that. Shane H. Wilder said, the riff off of Flannery O'Connor's infamous quote, if marriage is just a piece of paper, then to hell with it. Oh, okay. I thought that you meant that was the real quote, and I had it wrong. A lot of people don't like that quote, by the way. They find it very controversial that she said that, even Catholics. The original quote about the Eucharist, that is.
I think the Pharrell, the documentary one came out. It was called Piece by Piece in 2024.
Yes. Piece by piece.
Yeah.
So they're working in the Lego metaphor there.
Yeah.
Really clever. Shane H. Wilder said, vanity of vanities and all is vanity. So true. Love Ecclesiastes. Anyway.
Okay, I think that's all of them. Let's see what the chat's going on right now. Yeah, I think I think that was a second. Does Pharrell Williams, I know he's famous, but does he rate 2 documentaries when you're still alive? That seems insane to me.
That's a little self-indulgent.
Like, come on. We got a $5 super chat here from Muted Ads with no message. So thank you so much for that. We do appreciate that.
I was recently having a conversation with a big fan of A24.
Oh, really?
Just thought I would share because it got a little bit heated.
What were you guys talking about? Is in regards to A24?
I said, you're a big fan of Ari Aster, aren't you? And he said, yes. And I was like, see, we can never be friends. Sorry. Like, we'll never relate on anything. And then, you know, I think that there might be something wrong with me because I am a terrible art critic because I need things to be straightforward. I don't like ambiguity in art. I don't like when things are left open to interpretation. I don't like when the point of a piece of art, regardless of the medium, is to ask questions and not answer them. It's sort of like if a movie were a conspiracy theory, like we're just asking questions. Okay, well, I want answers, you know?
I mean, but the thing is, that is actually one of the quintessential tropes of the industry, which is like many people like the open-ended ending of a show because they don't want it to be so rigid. They want to be able to interpret it their own way.
Well, when I say open-ended, I mean if there is a moral quandary that is introduced in a story, I would like it to have moral clarity and an answer about that question, you know? Like, so another one, another show that we discussed was The Bear, because I think it was like the 4th season that just recently came out.
Yeah.
I watched through the 3rd season and I was just like, I'm done with this show. I can't watch it anymore. It's too pretentious. And I got the sense that the screenwriters got really full of themselves because you know, when you're writing a hit show, you're like, I'm this big shot now. Like I have this on my resume and I can go be the next Ryan Murphy. So all of these people get really up their own asses and they get really full of themselves and really self-indulgent in the way that they write things.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the premiere of The Bear's 3rd season being like an hour-long montage of the characters chopping vegetables and like, I don't even know, like doing things in the kitchen with ambient music in the background.
I mean, that
there was
works.
like no dialogue.
That works for a specific type of show. So anybody here who watched Hannibal, that was a huge part of the show. Hannibal was the very, very artistic renderings of the dead bodies as well as the food preparation. It was very, very stuffy and self-important and overindulgent, but it was the style that it was going for. There was a symphonic nature to the way the music was produced. It was the point of the show, right? And you could say, and my guess would be if you talk to, that was Brian Fuller, if I remember correctly, who did that show. He's like, yes, it's the whole point is to take the great evil in which Hannibal perpetrates on others, and you contradict it with the beautiful nature of art and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, but it doesn't, I can still appreciate it because it means that a whole lot of thought went into it. And at the very least, he had a designated idea behind what he wanted from it. Now, it's a little too self-important for me, but I do still like that show.
Yeah, so it's the Bears season 3 premiere episode titled Tomorrow. The near dialogue-free 37-minute montage serves as a
that's
prologue.
insane. That's insane. 37 minutes is
37
insane.
minutes.
Is insane.
Serves as a prologue to the season's narrative. It's a visually driven exploration of Carmi's culinary journey, showcasing his formative experiences in various kitchens, including a significant scene filmed at whatever restaurant this is, where he learned to prepare the signature sea bass. The episode features minimal dialogue, relying instead on powerful visuals, a 9 Inch Nails soundtrack, and meticulous cinematography to create a dreamy, isolated atmosphere focused intensely on Carmi. The lack of dialogue is a deliberate artistic choice, emphasizing the emotional weight of his past and internal struggles, with the camera often lingering on his face to convey his psychological state.
Yeah.
It's giving Apple TV.
And speaking of Apple TV, Hail Vera Dark, who's in the chat, says, can't wait to get your thoughts on Pluribus. Well, yeah, of course.
Oh.
Remember, guys, that nobody on this podcast will make you sit through anything Apple TV related. We respect you too much.
Have you watched Pluribus? I doubt you have.
I have not.
I just saw like
I canceled all my streaming services except for Amazon Prime.
I saw this post that said like Pluribus was the most highly watched show on Apple on Apple's streaming service
Ever, yeah.
with like whatever number of views it was. I don't remember how many minutes it got watched, but people responded to it and they were like just saying the whole like there are entire other worlds line. Like there are entire other societies that are existing parallel to ours because we consume content from a different algorithm.
Yeah. I mean, I felt the same way when Severance came out.
Yeah, I mean, Severance, I will give them credit. Like that first season, at least, I really enjoyed. I think I watched the second season, but I can't remember now. That was another show that they just got like really into themselves.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it breaks the fourth wall when you can tell that the screenwriters are really excited about being the screenwriters for Severance or for The Bear, and they think that it's like this big deal, you know? Like it's too self-conscious of the fact that it's prestige television.
Yeah. It takes away from the fact that they try to talk about how they're trying to bring the characters to life. Well, that wouldn't be true because then the characters should not be put in situations where they seem to be being handled by somebody who knows it's a television show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that A24 fan that I was talking to strongly disagreed with me about this episode of The Bear and said it was incredible, it's genius, it's a masterpiece, he loves it.
Look,
I
love that people can have something that they love
tracks.
about. I love that people
That
can have
tracks.
stuff that they love about, okay? That's, you know what? life is depressing. We need some whimsy. As long as they want to have their art house stuff, he can go hang out with the Letterboxd crowd and they can talk about Pluribus. I'll tell you what I've been listening to.
He said he didn't have a Letterboxd until like days before. So
I will tell you this. I have found my peeps as far as podcasts, because I've been listening to like 2014 podcasts from these channels that just talk about network TV.
that's awesome. So it's all like archival content?
Yeah, it's all stuff where they're like, Longmire was renewed for a new season and Constantine looks like it's on the chopping block. That's what I've been listening to. Like
I still think that you should go and watch The Office. I think that you're resisting it because of its popularity.
No, it's not my genre. I don't watch anything that's straight comedy. I don't.
It's not straight comedy. There's definitely some deeper emotional resonance to it.
If it's dramedy and it has any drama at all, that means that The Office likely leans more heavily into the comedy than the drama. I tend to tune out the more it leans into comedy. So like for instance, most of the shows that were ever on the USA Network that were popular were all dramedies of a sort, but certain shows leaned more heavily into comedy, like Psych.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Psych is
the edge of the that was the edge of the line for me as far as like it's leaning too much into comedy. But I still watched it. Thank you, Santa. You can go. We've got the gifts.
Santa is twerking in the chimney.
He literally is.
He's throwing it back.
We got some super chats here. We got one from Shane H. Wilder.
Did y'all hear about the Hallmark Hanukkah movie, Oi to the World? I thought it was a joke at first, but it's real. You have to see the poster.
I put it up on screen. I put it up on screen right here. So, funny fact about this, I first heard about this from my lovely wife, who is in the chat right now, or at least she was in the chat, because we're watching the show Royal Pains, which I love, and it has the actress Brooke D'Orsay, who is this woman in this show, who has now apparently been relegated as a blonde white woman. She's been relegated to Hallmark movies, and she's making Oi to the World. And Hannah Claire says, I have watched this movie. Would you like a review? She should do a review of it.
So it's playing on how, like, Jewish people say oy vey.
I guess. That's what it's saying.
Do they actually say oy vey then?
I thought it was French people that said that. I don't know. And I thought it was Australians
French
that said
people
oi.
say we.
And I thought Australians were the ones that say oi. Oi, mate.
They say, yeah, Aussie, oi, oi, oi.
Oi to the world.
But then they would have to change it to oy vey to the world. Not oi.
Just
oi doesn't make sense.
This is the synopsis. When a synagogue's pipes burst, a church offers space. As choir directors, hold on.
Put a girl on.
Anyways, let me continue. It says, when a synagogue's pipes burst, a church offers space as choir directors prepare a joint Christmas Hanukkah service. Old rivals, Nikki and Jake, must overcome their competition to unite their communities through song.
Oh.
Let's go!
Are you gonna watch it?
Again, it's probably too much nada. Like, the only Hallmark stuff that I will watch is the murder mystery stuff. I love the murder mystery stuff.
Expand your horizons.
I can't. Like, look, first, you're already risking turning in your man card admitting that you will watch the Hallmark murder mysteries, which I do, and I'm not ashamed of, at least the ones that I've seen. But
Hannah Claire was really not playing about Hallmark.
No, like, she loves
Hallmark. She was very serious about it. Henry Oria said, Mary, it's awesome to see you back. What are the chances of you coming back 5 days a week in the future? You and Brett have excellent chemistry. Pop culture crisis rocks. Happy holidays, guys. Well, thank you so much for all of the positivity.
Thank you.
That's how we're trying to close out the year. I cannot make any promises about coming back 5 days a week in the future because I do have other obligations, which I can't elaborate on. Red Snow said, telling your kids Santa isn't real is stolen valor. Why?
I don't even know what makes that
Stolen valor from like the mean kids at school who would spoil it for everybody? That might have been me. I don't even remember. Pop Culture Junkie said, I love Pluribus. I'll show myself out. No, you're allowed to like Pluribus.
You're valid. You're allowed to like it.
You're seen, heard, and validated.
You are.
Shane H. Wilder said, have a blessed and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Brett and Mary. If it gets too cold, come down here. It's going to be 78 on Christmas.
I would love that.
I'd like rather not have a 78-degree Christmas, actually. I think it being cold outside is essential.
I'm looking at some of the reviews. The reviews for Oi to the World. Removed the joy, added lots of oi. When you where to even start? It's great that Hallmark is trying to represent Hanukkah in its annual Christmas set of movies. And I actually look right now, do not let the anti-Israel lobby on Twitter know that this exists, because they are going to have a fit, okay? They are going to say that the Jews are doing this and that the world is falling apart because Bibi Netanyahu made this movie or something.
Bibi has destroyed Hallmark.
I actually look forward to the annual Hanukkah movie, thus actually watching it on the release day, but this year's offering is awful and borderline offensive, and of course includes all the standard Hallmark cliches to boot. Boy meets girl, girl doesn't like boy, boy doesn't like girl, they're mean to each other, and then they fall in love. There's also a boy returns home from the big city to find love at last. But the real problem with this movie is that it totally trivializes Hanukkah as if it's Christmas, but in blue. But in blue and white. I get what they're saying there. You can't merge Hanukkah and Christmas like they're cake and pie. Well, that sounds amazing, but that's just me. Instead of a delicious dessert, you get something like Rachel's beef trifle. I suspect the idea that it's to show people of different religions coming together to be supportive of each other, but asking Jewish children to sing about Christ the Lord is the epitome of not understanding about different faiths.
Well, I mean, I guess I would agree with that reviewer that you cannot merge Hanukkah and Christmas.
But
That
remember,
makes
guys,
zero sense.
that pales into comparison to the 2012 masterpiece, Jewtopia.
Oh, yeah, I
Remember
forgot about
Jewtopia?
that. Didn't we talk about that at one point?
A romantic comedy centered on a gentile who pretends to be Jewish in order to win. I like gentile that pretends to be Jewish in order to win the affection of his love interest. So he pretends to be Jewish so that he can get with the woman that he loves.
Do they go to Israel
Probably.
in the movie?
Probably. Starring Austin Abrams, Tom Arnold, not a lot of there was at least one other. Jennifer Love Hewitt was in this movie. I wonder if she needed the money at the time.
I hope there's lots of bagels and hummus in the movie.
I bet you it's amazing. It says two childhood friends reunite as adults to help each other land the woman of their dreams. Chris wants to marry Allison, a Jewish girl, so that he'll never have to make another decision for as long as he lives. Adam is on the verge of getting married to Hannah, a woman with whom he's not content, when Chris enlists Adam's help in pretending to be Jewish so that Allison will date him. Cultures collide and chaos ensues. It's a beautiful thing.
Sounds incredible.
It does.
Skateman 2010 said, why do I feel like these are the last days of PCC? I mean, I don't know why you feel that way. If that were true, we would tell you for sure. But we're still here. We're still trucking along. Greg Duvier said, I second Olivia request for PCC to review the show.
If you're talking
Meaning
about
Pluribus?
if you're talking about Pluribus, no. If you're talking about Oi to the World, maybe.
But Oi to the World is a movie.
Yeah.
Pop Culture Junkie. Maybe it'll be like, remember when Kanye said that watching 21 Jump Street like cured him of his anti-Semitism?
Yep.
I think that he should watch Oi to the World.
He should.
And give us his review. Pop Culture Junkie said, greetings from Orlando. Brett, I hope you and Olivia have a memorable married couple first Christmas. Mary, enjoy your first Music City holiday. Safe travels to you both. Thanks for many hours of entertainment this year. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas. And thank you all for sticking with us, even through all of these changes.
Absolutely, guys. All right, that is, we got through a lot today, so holy crap. Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X, that is also Mary Archived, and help me get TikTok famous, that is also Mary Archived. I have not been diligent about shilling my coffee at all in these recent episodes, and I don't even have it with me on my desk, even though I reminded myself of it. But you can go get Mary's Ghost Blend at castbrew.com right now. It's probably not going to make it to you if you order it for Christmas. It's not going to make it on Christmas, but it makes a great belated Christmas gift.
There you go. All right, guys, before we go, I do want to, again, wish you guys an early Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and thank all of you who have been with this podcast since the very beginning and made it with us through to the very end of the year. It's been amazing to see that despite the fact that things have been up and down here the last couple of weeks as we've kind of ridden out these changes, you guys have stuck with us. So thank you guys so much. And to all the new viewers, thank you so much for joining us. We are very appreciative of that. Remember, we will be off next week for Christmas, and then I will be back in some capacity the following week. So that would be December 29th through Friday the 2nd. I am hoping to put out content that week, get stuff going, but then we should be returning in full the week, that following Monday, which would be what? That would be January 5th. So we are going to be back. Don't worry, guys. And again, we owe it all to you. Thank you guys so much. If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC, like I said, we got the schedule changes. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you want to listen to the audio version of the show, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. So thank you guys so much. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We got a couple more there.
Yes, Greg Duvier said, yo to the world review. I think you mean oi to the world.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Shane H. Wilder said, okay, midnight mass or Christmas morning mass. So I am not generally an evening mass person. I just find it depressing to walk out and it's dark outside, but I'm definitely in favor of midnight mass for Christmas. I'd rather just stay inside in my pajamas all day during Christmas morning.
We did midnight. Our family did midnight mass at Christmas.
Clearly the elite option. Skateman 2010 said, never had to tell my kids Santa isn't real. They just found out on their own. Well, I guess maybe that's the best option.
Problems work
Greg
themselves
Duvier,
out.
Merry Christmas to you both. Happy New Year's. I like turtles and the left is for driving the speed limit and right lane is for crime.
Okay.
Gotta disavow that last part, but Merry Christmas
All right.
and Happy New Year's, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back in the new year. Thank you so much for joining us. See you then, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye.